Good afternoon and welcome back to fearmeitsbre podcast and blog. This is episode 10. Yesterday I mistakenly put episode 10 in the thumbnail because of a whole snafu with uploading and having no sound and having to re-export and re-upload. And my brain was just kind of done at that point, so it put episode 10. For some reason it thought it was episode 10. I'll probably try and fix that when I go in to upload this video, but if I don't, just look at the dates. This is episode 10. We have an interesting day ahead of us because this is something that's happened a few weeks ago, but it's just now getting attention, is China has brokered a peace deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia, which is not great that China is who did that. And then Putin and Russia are trying to change the petrodollar to yen, which is not great for America. And then there's a letter that came out having to do with the Trump indictment, so we will look at that as well. Really, I don't think, nothing's been happening with the Trump indictment except that the jury decided they're out for the week. They're not going to do anything this week. So we'll look at the letter, but other than that, I don't have anything to tell you about that because there is nothing to tell you about that because that's how bullcrap the case is. And I personally think that the case is just a distraction from bigger things like the Saudi Arabia thing. Well, not just Saudi Arabia, but So I'm going to play, well, actually, before I do, if you want to follow along, you can find me at fearmeitsbre on Instagram, Twitter, and this site, YouTube. And you can also follow my Minds account. I really need to post the link to that because I can't remember what it is, and it will not let me change it. So that one's really hard to find. I also have Substack as well, where I have a handful of audio-only episodes that were recorded separately from this when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. If anyone wants to go back and listen to those, you don't have to. I don't blame you if you don't. That's about it. If you like this video, you can share it. So, I'm gonna begin. And I'm gonna begin with playing a Tucker Carlson video where he kind of gets into what I just said, where we've really been using the media and especially the Trump trial thing as a distraction from what's really going on, and he's going to tell us that. And I know a lot of people don't like Tucker Carlson, so I have a few more things besides just Fox News, right, to verify what I'm talking about, because I personally am not a huge fan of Fox News myself, but sometimes they do have legitimate viewpoints, legitimate things, and this is a legitimate viewpoint from Tucker Carlson, so let's play it. Hop over here. I'm not sure how loud it is. I don't know if I want to turn myself down, because if I turn myself down, we lose the echo. And I think people like losing the echo. However, I cannot talk without turning myself back up, but I'll mess with it and we'll see what happens. So we're going to play Tucker Carlson now.
Let's pretend for a sec that our country had a news media that was interested in bringing you the news. Not in lecturing you about your moral inferiority, you're so bad, or lying to you in transparently obvious ways. January 6th was an insurrection, guys.
So I'm going to fast forward right to the part where he talks about Russia. But, I mean, his point there is very valid because, yeah, the news is being used to distract us from a lot of things by running bullcrap stories like, oh, Trump's getting indicted. Okay, cool. It's a bogus case. Why are we talking about it? Oh, yeah, because the Biden administration is so dang incompetent that they're letting stuff happen that they don't want us to know about. And the world is a lot worse than they want us to believe it is.
Earlier this month, Iran and Saudi Arabia, the two most significant powers in the Muslim world, announced that after generations of proxy wars and snarling hostility to one another, they will be resuming diplomatic relations. Peace has broken out between blood enemies. As recently as last year, very few would have thought that could happen, and now it has happened. And it's happened, and here's a significant thing from an American perspective, it's happened because China, not the U.S. State Department, but the Communist Chinese government, brokered the deal.
So that's not fantastic because China brokered the deal. Who are we at war with basically right now? The war of ideals, Russia and China. So our enemies and our enemies are friends. That's fantastic, right? That's going to go over perfectly.
The world's largest atheist state has halted religious conflict between two theocracies. Did you see that coming? Probably not, but there's more. Yesterday, China's President Xi turned up in Moscow to announce a new partnership with Russia. Going forward, Russia will supply much of China's oil and natural gas. Vladimir Putin also agreed to use Chinese currency in trade with Asia, Africa, and Latin America.
So that's not good for America, because really, America is a useless country and our only export right now, because we are so freaking dependent on everywhere else for everything, thank you, Joe Biden, is the American dollar. And if I've ranted about this before previously, if we are not trading in the American dollar, our economy is going to tank worse than it is. I don't think people see how serious this is, and I don't think that the Biden administration wants people to see how serious this is, because if they did, they wouldn't be running Trump crap as front page news right now.
Once again, holy smokes. As with the Iran-Saudi summit, very few people imagined anything like this could happen just 18 months ago. Quote, change that hasn't happened in 100 years, Xi said, is coming, and we are driving this change together. Now, what change was Xi talking about? Well, the end of American global hegemony, the end of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. For 100 years, he got it right, since the close of the First World War, the United States has been the preeminent nation on Earth. For 40 of those years, we were locked in a Cold War with the Soviet Union, of course, but at no time, no matter what they may have claimed, was there ever really a question about who is the most powerful country.
If the American dollar goes down the drain and the American dollar loses its power, America loses its power, because like I said, that is our only export. We don't contribute other than trading oil and trading energy in the American dollar, because China, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Russia, Central and South America, all of these places have to purchase the American dollar to buy and sell and to trade energy and oil. And if we go off of that, we lose our superpower over the world, because we're a totally dependent nation. Like I said, we don't export anything. We haven't in a long time. We are totally dependent on these other countries for our own energy and oil, because pipelines that were running through the US, keeping gas low up until 2020 and keeping us independent, have been shut down by the Biden administration. If we had kept that Nord Stream pipeline, is that the one that was running through here? I believe it was. If we had kept the pipeline running from Canada down to Mexico, and this had happened, we would be fine. We would be totally independent, and we would not be reliable on these other world powers who are getting together and doing this behind our back, basically, because they want to exclude America, because they probably want to destroy America. We would be totally independent from them. We would not need them, and this would not affect us at all. And it would not affect, it probably would still affect the value of the American dollar to a degree, but not like this. So I'm going to finish out that video real quick.
We were the most powerful country. It was the American era. That era just ended a little over 2 years into Joe Biden's presidency. But amazingly, no one in this country seems to notice that it happened. That story is not leading the news tonight. Instead, we're arguing about whether or not to arrest Donald Trump for a fake crime to keep him from running for president again. Over at the White House, our senile president just gave some sort of medal to a sitcom actress, presumably for her bravery. You read those scripts so boldly. CNN is covering that story like it's the moonwalk. On Twitter, meanwhile, people seem excited that our vice president has sent a letter to a transvestite TikTok star called Dylan Mulvaney, who is famous for dressing like a 6-year-old girl.
The video basically ends there, so I'm gonna stop the video there, because it makes the most sense to just turn it off there. 100%. I don't care if you don't like Tucker Carlson. I don't care if you think he's brash and uncouth, and I don't care if you don't always trust what he says. 100%. America is a freaking joke at this point. What really matters in this country? clearly not what's going on with foreign affairs that we should be paying attention to if we don't want to fall apart and sink into another Great Depression again. Jeez Louise. Anyway, so that is fun, right? And in case you don't want to listen to Tucker Carlson, I have from the mouth of Vladimir Putin himself as well a video that I'm going to play where he says exactly what Tucker Carlson just said.
Я уже говорил, уже 2/3 товарооборота между нашими странами осуществляются в рублях и юанях. Мы за использование китайских юаней в расчетах между Российской Федерацией и
So, sorry about the
странами
echo, but basically he's saying that Russia and China and Asia are willing to start trading in the yen now.
между нашими странами осуществляются в рублях и юанях. Мы за
We are for the use of Chinese yen in settlements between Russia and the countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So these world powers behind, without America, have decided to do their own thing, which is big. It's not good for our economy. And of course, our president doesn't seem to care to let the American people know that, doesn't seem to care about it. He's too busy giving awards to Mindy Kaling, who I talked about yesterday. And then I have a video I'm going to play. I'm going to turn it down a little because I think it starts out kind of loudly. Just another video. Just showing you the gravity of the situation here. This is something that's not good for us to be seeing happen right now. And let me actually just turn down my microphone so that, you don't get that. I'm actually going to turn the video down so that I can talk. So we have Vladimir Putin coming out ceremoniously. And then we're going to have China's president also walk out in a second. And this is them shaking hands and essentially sealing their deal that they've just made. And that right there is a historic moment. Oops, wrong one. You see that image? That is a historic moment that is not good for this country and is not going to be good in the long run. So, there you have it. You have seen all 3 videos that I had pulled up. I'm also going to read a Daily Mail article about it because that seemed like the quickest, easiest, what do you want to call it? I guess just like quick little breakdown of what's going on. And catch this, the Daily Mail article, right? Daily Mail is a UK publication. The Daily Mail article was running this on March 10th. So while we've been not paying attention, having fun with Trump witch hunts, sorry to use that phrase that is so stereotypically coined on Fox News. But seriously, when we've been looking at bullcrap news that doesn't have any bearing on our lives whatsoever, the UK was even talking about this. So let's hop over to that and I will get to reading that to everybody. I'm going to move myself down here, maybe cover up some of those obnoxious as heck ads. Camera seems zoomed differently than I had it yesterday. My husband must have, or not the camera, but the phone screen, the computer screen. So my husband must have changed it, but I don't want to touch it because I don't want to mess it up and then just have you guys watch me try and fix it for an hour. All right. So Daily Mail. Where are we? China brokers surprise peace deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran as White House welcomes the pact. Diplomatic relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran were restored Friday. And again, this was March 10th. They have been at odds since the Saudi execution of, Shiite Muslim cleric Nimar al-Nimr. I'm really funny with pronunciation of names, so bear with me, I'm sorry. The deal was brokered by Beijing while the Biden administration said they were kept abreast of the situation. Oh, good. I'm glad they were informed. Regional powerhouses, Iran and Saudi Arabia agreed Friday to restore ties and reopen diplomatic missions in a surprise Chinese-brokered announcement that could have wide-ranging implications across the Middle East. In a trilateral statement, Shiite-majority Iran and mainly Sunni Muslim Saudi Arabia said they would reopen embassies and missions within 2 months and implement security and economic cooperation deals signed more than 20 years ago. How do I get rid of that? Riyadh, I don't know how to say their names again, I'm sorry, cut ties after Iranian protesters attacked Saudi diplomatic missions in 2016 following the Saudi execution of revered Shiite cleric Nimr al-Nimr, one in just a series of flashpoints between the two long-standing rivals. Friday's announcement, which follows 5 days of previously unannounced talks in Beijing, just after China's President Xi Jinping was elected to another 5-year term, and several rounds of dialogue in Iraq and Oman, caps a broader realignment and efforts to ease tensions in the region. So this is the president of Iran, and this is the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, and this is the president of China, which I'm sure we all know. Following talks, the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have agreed to resume diplomatic relations and reopen embassies and missions within the 2 months, said the joint statement, which was published by both countries' official media. So that's by May, probably. The détente, is that how you say that? Between Saudi Arabia, the world's biggest oil exporter, and Iran, a pariah for Western governments over its nuclear activities, has the potential to reshape relations across a region characterized by turbulence for decades. Iran and Saudi Arabia support rival sides in several conflict zones, including Yemen, where the Houthi rebels are backed by Tehran, and Riyadh leads a military coalition supporting the government. The two sides also vie for influence in Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq. It kind of sets the scene for the region's two superpowers to start to hash out their differences, said Dina Esfandari of the International Crisis Group. The potential downside of that, of course, is that they are the ones who are divvying up the region and sorting things out amongst themselves. You start to lose sight of regional context and grievances, which could potentially be problematic. Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian welcomed the rapprochement and said Tehran will actively prepare other regional initiatives. The return to normal relations between Tehran and Riyadh offers great opportunities for the two countries, the region, and the Muslim world, he tweeted. Saudi Arabia's top diplomat, Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, said the agreement stems from the kingdom's preference for political solutions and dialogue, an approach it wants to see become the norm in the region. The White House welcomed the deal, but said it remains to be seen whether the Iranians will meet their obligations. France also saluted the move, saying it was in favor of dialogue, but urged Iran to renounce its destabilizing actions. UN Chief Antonio Guterres welcomed the announcement and said he remains ready to use his good offices to further advance regional dialogue. Good neighborly relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia are essential for the stability of the Gulf region, he said through his spokesman. The U.S. also welcomed any efforts to help end the war in Yemen and de-escalate tensions in the Middle East region, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said. Generally speaking, we welcome any efforts to help end the war in Yemen and de-escalate tensions in the Middle East region. De-escalation and diplomacy together with the deterrence are key pillars to the policy President Biden outlined during his visit to the region last year, White House National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said. That was a mouthful. The Saudis did keep us informed about these talks they were having, just as we kept them informed about our engagements, but we weren't directly involved. The head of Lebanon's Hezbollah, an Iran-backed militant group, called the agreement a good development. It could open new horizons in the regions, said Hassan Nasrallah, whose movement had been blacklisted as a terror group by Saudi Arabia since 2016. Ali Shamkhani, the secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, had traveled to Beijing on Monday for intensive negotiations with his Saudi counterpart in China to finally resolve the problems between Iran and Riyadh, Iran's official IRNA news agency said. Videos on Iranian state media showed Shamkhani with Saudi National Security Advisor Mossad bin Mohammed Al Abien and Wang Qi, China's most senior diplomat. The agency quoted Shamkhani as calling the talks clear, transparent, comprehensive, and constructive, removing misunderstanding and future-oriented views, and relations between Tehran and Riyadh will definitely lead to improving regional stability and security, as well as increasing cooperation among Persian Gulf nations and the world of Islam for managing current challenges. So anyway, if anyone wants to read the rest of this article, I guess it ends in a second. I guess I could finish it. Al-Aben thanked Iraq and Oman for mediating between Iran and the kingdom, according to his remarks carried by the state-run Saudi press agency. While we value what we have reached, we hope that we will continue the constructive dialogue, the Saudi official said. Talks. All right, well, anyway, I'm going to end that there, but if you want to read it, I'll link it. But basically, yeah, so that happened. That's definitely something to keep an eye on. Basically, all of our enemies, I don't want to say enemies, but all of our rivals just joined forces and are now holding hands, and the White House is being kept informed. Good. I'm glad Joe Biden knows about it. So what's he going to do about it? I mean, there's not much you can do about it at this point other than keep the American people informed, which is exactly what they are not doing. So thank you, White House. Thank you so much for keeping us informed. Thank you so much for keeping the American people safe. Seriously. So that was interesting. I thought I'd share that today just because, holy cow, I think we're about to enter some really not so great times, unfortunately, especially economy-wise. And I know, it's already bad. It is already crap. But buckle up. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the letter that has to do with the Donald Trump indictment. Another article that I'm going to read through, so I might need to actually take a drink of water for that because I feel like my 2 coffees kicked in and I talked really fast a minute ago. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, so the Trump stuff, they decided to not do anything this week, the grand jury or whatever. So next week is when they're potentially going to start talking about things again. And yeah, I think it's bogus. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't think there's going to be an indictment. I wonder if they're just going to keep prolonging it and keep being like, we'll think about that next week. We're not going to do anything right now just to keep the story fresh maybe. And to keep up the distraction. Maybe that's the goal. Just have an ongoing crap trial or whatever, just to keep the people occupied. My hair is weird today. All right, so let's go over there. I have to remember not to X out of my articles when I'm done with them because I tend to do that, and then I realize I need those links. So then I have to go through my history and find all the links again so that I can link them in the the YouTube, which actually I do have them saved in a separate place, so I guess I don't need to be as careful about not Xing out and losing them today, but whatever. So this is another Daily Mail article. All the ads on Daily Mail's site just annoy the heck out of me. I'm gonna try and zoom in more. Might be less annoying that way. I have no clue what kind of ads were playing in the last one, so hopefully nothing too weird. All right. Hop over there. And I think I'll stay down here, I guess. All right. So we'll hop over here. And this article from Daily Mail says, exclusive. Is this the smoking gun? Letter from Michael Cohen claiming Donald Trump did not reimburse him for hush money paid to Stormy Daniels appears to fly in the face of the star witness's grand jury testimony. Bombshell document, exclusively obtained by dailymail.com, could cripple prosecutors' pursuit of criminal charges against Trump. Cohen, Trump's former lawyer, is the star witness in the case, which Trump reportedly faces imminent arrest for campaign finance violations. But But in a February 2018 letter, Cohen's attorney wrote that Mr. Cohen used his own personal funds and that neither the Trump organization nor the Trump campaign reimbursed Mr. Cohen. This was published yesterday. Okay. That's what I thought. Just want to make sure. Michael Cohen claimed he was not reimbursed by Donald Trump or his organization for hush money payments to porn actress Stormy Daniels in a 2018 letter to federal authorities contradicting his recent grand jury testimony. The bombshell document, exclusively obtained by DailyMail.com, could throw a wrench in the works of prosecutors pursuing criminal charges against Trump over the payments. Cohen, Trump's former lawyer and the star witness in the case which Trump reportedly faces imminent arrest, claims that Trump got him to pay $130,000 to Daniels to be quiet. Okay, we know this. We know, we already know the background, I guess, at this point, so I'm going to fast forward. You know what I mean? Let me just see the letter. All right. I can make it not full screen, I guess, but that works. We'll roll with that. Okay. Federal Election Commission official complaints, and that's just the address. All right. Highly confidential. Cool. Dear Mr. Jordan, I am writing on behalf of my client, Michael D. Cohen, in response to your letter dated January 30th, 2018. Specifically, this letter responds to the complaint numbered MUR 7313, which was filed with the Federal Election Commission's FEC by Common Cause and Paul S. Ryan. In a private transaction in 2016, before the U.S. presidential election, Mr. Cohen used his own personal funds to facilitate a payment of $130,000 to Mrs. Stephanie Clifford. That's Stormy Daniels' real name. Neither the Trump organization nor the Trump campaign was a party to the transaction, with Ms. Clifford, and neither reimbursed Mr. Cohen for the payment directly or indirectly. Contrary to the allegations in the complaint, which are entirely speculative, neither Mr. Cohen nor Essential Consultants LLC made any in-kind contributions to Donald J. Trump for President, Incorporated, or any other presidential campaign committee. Mr. Cohen has not been a government employee during any of the relevant time periods. The payment in question does not constitute a campaign contribution or expenditure, and therefore the FEC lacks jurisdiction over this matter. The complainants have not and cannot present any evidence to the contrary. Accordingly, the complaint should be dismissed. Please contact me at your earliest convenience at redacted, because, doesn't want people just calling him. If you have any questions regarding this letter, and then there's the official signature. So that was February 8th, 2018 that letter was penned. The letter appears to be in direct conflict with Cohen's sworn testimony to Congress. Given a year later, Cohen said under oath that Trump asked me to pay off an adult film star with whom he had an affair, and that Mr. Trump directed me to use my own personal funds from a home equity line of credit to avoid any money being traced back to him that could negatively impact his campaign. Just checking that. He says Trump reimbursed him with personal funds and later pleaded guilty to violating bloated whale. Sorry, that was distracting. Later pleaded guilty to violating federal campaign finance law over the hush money. After canceling today's session, the grand jury has been asked to return at noon Thursday, when prosecutors may present one more witness, a court official told DailyMail.com. The letter appears to be in direct conflict with Cohen's sworn testimony to Congress, given a year later. Cohen said under oath that Trump asked me to pay off an adult film star with whom he had an affair, and that Mr. Trump directed me to use my own personal funds from a home equity line of credit to avoid any money being traced back to him if that could negatively impact his campaign. But in a February 8th, 2018 letter, the Federal Election Commission's FEC, Cohen's attorney Stephen Ryan wrote, Mr. Cohen used his own personal funds, and that neither the Trump organization nor the Trump campaign was a party to the transaction with Ms. Clifford, and neither reimbursed Mr. Cohen for the payment directly or indirectly. The letter was written in response to an FEC probe launched after complaints of campaign finance violations logged by Paul Ryan and the organization Common Cause. In a private transaction in 2016, before the U.S. presidential election, Mr. Cohen used his own personal funds to facilitate a payment of $130,000 to Ms. Stephanie Clifford, Cohen's lawyer who worked at McDermott, Will, and Emery wrote. Neither Trump Neither the Trump organization nor the Trump campaign was a party to the transaction with Ms. Clifford, and neither reimbursed Mr. Cohen for the payment directly or indirectly. Contrary to the allegations in the complaint, which are entirely speculative, neither Mr. Cohen nor Essential Consultations LLC made in any kind contributions to Donald J. Trump for President Incorporated or any other presidential campaign office. That's an image of... What is her real name again? I've read it so many times now. Ms. My eyes don't even want to like find her name in this for some reason. I'm not seeing it. I know it's like right in front of me. But anyway, we'll just say Stormy Daniels. There she is. Wow, okay. On Twitter, adult actress Stormy is taunting Trump, whom she... Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, look at that. She's using the whole thing to promote her adult film. Why am I not surprised? Again, I wonder who's paying her to bring this up after she said, oh, by the way, I never actually slept with Trump. And she dropped the whole thing and took the money basically to just be like, yeah, okay, I won't try and like smear you and get you in trouble. She was happy to take the money. She dropped everything. Why is she suddenly coming back out with this? Who is paying this woman? Also, just like with Trump, where I think Trump wants the press from this because he made a butt ton of campaign money since he announced he was going to be arrested. Like, his supporters have gone nuts. I bet you she's making... That looks like a spider in my head, but it's not. I bet you she is making a ton of money off this as well, and she's getting attraction and attention, and guess what? She's relevant again. So, good job, Stormy. Mr. Cohen has not been a government employee. We've read that in the letter. Complaint should be dismissed. The letter appears to be a direct conflict with Cohen's sworn testimony to Congress given a year later. Cohen had said under oath that Trump asked me to pay off an adult film star with whom he had an affair, and that Mr. Trump directed me to use my own personal funds from a home equity line of credit to avoid money being traced back to him that could negatively impact his campaign. I feel like they've had that sentence like 6 times. He included a copy of the wire transfer and a copy of a $35,000 check that President Trump personally signed from his personal bank account on August 1st, 2017, when he was president of the United States, pursuant to the cover-up, which was the basis of my guilty plea to reimburse me. So Trump did that after he was president, not during the campaign. Trump's lawyers are sure to kick up a stink over the FEC letter and will likely argue it casts enough doubt on Cohen's testimony that his testimony to the grand jury impaneled in the current criminal case against Trump should be thrown out. The FEC letter, dated months before Cohen flipped to prosecutors and pled guilty to campaign finance violations over the hush money payments, giving prosecutors leeway to argue that Cohen was still lying to protect his boss at the time. When does this end? Oh my word, I forgot this was so long. Anyway, I keep like having this like, when does this end again? And then I'm like, oh, right there. So let's just finish it out, I guess. 2 months after the February 8th, 2018 letter, rumors began to swirl that Cohen might flip if he faced serious charges over his work for Trump. They're going to threaten him with a long prison term and try and turn him into a canary that sings, Trump defender Alan Dershowitz said in April that year. While testifying to the House Oversight Committee in February 2019, Cohen himself cited Trump's 2018 July meeting with Putin in Helsinki at a turning point that led to his switching sides. At the summit, Trump accepted Putin's denial of interference in the 2016 election and was widely criticized as kowtowing to the Russian leader. Angles that Manhattan prosecutors are reportedly pursuing include potential charges that Trump falsified business records by characterizing the hush money as legal fees. This would only reach a level of misdemeanor under New York law, which they're trying to turn into a felony, which we're aware of. Other crimes, including money laundering or campaign finance violations, will also likely require prosecutors to prove that Trump knew about and directed the wrongdoing, something Cohen vehemently testifies to. Trump's ex-attorney testified to the grand jury, as Trump ally Robert Costello on Monday also did. Costello, another lawyer who has represented Rudy Giuliani and Steve Bannon, told reporters he testified to the grand jury about an alleged 2018 conversation with Cohen, in which he claimed Cohen said he made the $130,000 payment to Daniels on his own and that it was his idea, not Trump's. Michael Cohen did this on his own, Costello said. I said, why would you do that? He said, because I wanted to keep this a secret, even a secret from my own wife. I didn't want Melania Trump to know. I didn't want my wife to know. Cohen rubbished Costello's claims in a subsequent interview, claiming he was using Trump's playbook to muddy the waters. I don't know what he's talking about. He's making up so many stories here, he said. Trump posted in all caps on his social media site, Truth Social, on Sunday, that Costello would be the most important witness to go before the New York City grand jury. Cohen's former attorney, who wrote the February 2018 letter to the FEC, Stephen Ryan, declined to comment, citing attorney-client privilege. He is no longer working at McDermott, Will & Emery, and said he will no longer represent Cohen. So that's the end of that article, and that's really, as far as I know, recording this, the only update we have on the Trump situation. I think it's utter baloney, the whole Trump thing. I'm pretty sure it's just a fun little thing that's going to get press in either direction. I don't think it's going to be that significant in the end. I don't think it's going to really have that much of an impact. Maybe it will, maybe I'm wrong, but I have my personal doubts toward it. Also, can I complain for a minute about the fact that Trump's social media site is called Truth Social? I hate it. I think that's the dumbest name ever. I think it's annoying that when you, like, their version of tweeting is truthing. I just want to, like, get it so I can just type up a bunch of, like, totally untrue things and just be like, truth. It's just so dumb to me. I actually had it at one point and I hated the way it was set up. So I got rid of it or just deleted the app or something. I just wasn't interested in it. And I hated that it was very much a right-wing echo chamber because it was really annoying. There was no challenge to your views. There was like nothing. It was literally just people being like, yeah, and like retweeting Trump. And it was just kind of, yeah, that's all it really was. So this is definitely a lot shorter episode today. There really isn't that much, I don't really think, to go through, really. I don't really want to sign into my Twitter right now. I forgot to do that before I jump. In entertainment news that I found interesting, I saw something about Marvel is severing ties with the Eternals, and they're not going to be continuing it anymore, which is totally fine because that movie was utter trash. But one thing that I thought was kind of unfair is Kit Harington's character, who's like in the beginning, because I think he was the boyfriend of the main girl or something, then he disappears for the whole movie. And then I think he shows up again at the end or the after credit scene or something, which shows him picking up a sword. And then you have Mahershala Ali's blade be like, are you sure you're ready for that? And I forget which superhero he is, but Kit Harington was supposed to be a Marvel hero. And I guess he's getting cut too. So he's not even going to be a part of it. So I thought that was kind of unfair in a way because I was like, but Kit Harington wasn't the worst part of that movie. He was barely in it. His character's the only redeemable thing about that movie because he still has a chance to be likable. But my husband made the point that, yeah, but if they keep him in it, then you're going to have to go back and watch Eternals to understand his role in Blade, which people aren't going to want to do because nobody likes the Eternals. So then Blade won't make as much money if you have to go watch that first. And I was like, okay, good point. But yeah, I thought that stinks for Kit Harington. That guy's had kind of a rough rap as an actor between drugs, but it's nice to see he's married to that girl, Rose Leslie, that was one of his former co-stars. I think, did they just have their second child or did they announce they're pregnant with their second child? One or the other, but it's nice to see he's doing well in life. I just would like to see him get good roles and not just like keep having stuff happen like that. But anyway, that was an interesting tidbit. I don't know that there's much else, so I'm gonna let that go here. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm not going to be back probably until Monday or Tuesday. It is Thursday, so yeah, I'm not gonna be back on till Monday. I try not to make videos during the weekend just because I know like people aren't really interested in sitting down and watching something like this over the weekend. They've got plans, they got family, they got things they got to do. Last weekend we were insanely busy. This weekend's going to be pretty busy too, so I don't even know that I would have time anyway till Monday. So have a great weekend. Hopefully everyone has something fun they're going to do. It's kind of rainy and cloudy here right now. I'm hoping it lightens up. Maybe we get some warm weather again. So again, if you would like to find me, it is fearmeitsbre on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I don't know what mine's is. I'll try and figure that out at some point. You can also find my Substack, which I will link. And if anyone has any suggestions for content or things you want to hear, like that I could add into an episode to talk about, feel free to message me on Twitter. I totally would be down for suggestions. I think that would be cool. So I will see everybody next time.